Welcome into another week of No Man's Land Tennis. I'm joined as always by the coach himself, Fred Mesmer, and Cole, who is just, that sweater, baby. You look phenomenal, my boy. We're here to talk about some news in tennis. We have the wrap up of the ATP Next Gen Finals. We have a potential ATP shakeup in terms of governing bodies and how the tour is going to be run as a whole. And we got some big news on what a lot of people would call one of the GOATs coming back. Boys, how we feeling?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Hit a few balls today. Striking them well. Like you said, Cole's looking good. I mean, what more can we ask for?
Yeah, feeling cozy, guys. Feeling like I need to, pop down with a nice cup of coffee, cup of Sanka, maybe, and turn on the Polar Express and tuck on in for a long winter's nap. But I'm ready for this one tonight.
Cole's the only guy that can call me a 65-year-old human, which is a correct insult, and then wear that sweater, have a cup of Sanka, and put on the Polar Express.
Hey, everybody does their own holidays differently.
Fred, I had Kate had a match yesterday, which she won 2 breakers, 7-6, 7-6 in mixed doubles, was pumped. I was dying a slow death watching her play, not because of the way her partner played, but because I wanted to be out there playing tennis, and I still can't. I hate this.
I'll be back out there soon. Don't worry.
And we better hope. Well, let's wrap up the ATP Next Gen Finals, which just finished Jeddah, and it crowned a maybe a little bit of an unlikely champion, unless you're Cole. Cole over here predicted the finalists pretty spot on. We had Arthur Fils, Hamad Medjanovic, final Medjanovic taking away the win. All in all, fun little tournament. I kind of enjoyed the Next Gen.
Yeah, pretty good. I'll chime in. We gotta come up with a nickname.
Happy is.
We gotta come up with a nickname for me. I think Genius. Like we start calling me Genio. Like genius in Spanish. I think it's pretty good.
Have you gotten a Grand Slam finalist correct all year?
There's room for improvement, I think. No, it was great. I think it's a great story. I think it's the last time I'm going to say it for the year, but we got deep in the fees. We got deep in the fees this week. Really thought he was going to like show his dominance, and he did. But he kind of wavered a little bit there in the final with Medjanovic, Djokovic's boy. I think this kid is probably going to take somebody's spot on their Davis Cup team next year.
You think? I mean, what do you think of the level overall, Cole? Because I know you definitely got to watch a little bit of it, and I mean, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I thought the level was good. I think the court lends itself to longer rallies. I think guys are going for less because of the visual. If for those of you who don't know, the doubles alleys are gone, and it's just the singles court there. And if I was playing on it, I feel like I'd just be trying to keep it central and trying to keep it in. And I feel like the guys were, playing well, but hitting big to places in the court that, they can get to and elongate rallies. So I thought the level was good, specifically the Van Asche and Feast match, which Feast ended up winning, but especially in that first set, like Van Asche was just like ready to roll, and Feast was just getting balls back and was taking it to him.
Is that the new French connection?
Van Asche and Feast. There's a lot of French guys out there still.
Van Asche looks like an 8-year-old. That dude is a baby. That dude is a child out there playing tennis. He is a baby face assassin out there.
Yeah, but he's got a pretty good vertical jump.
He's a small guy. Can't be more than like 5'10". There's no way. If he is, I want to see those stats.
What do you guys think of the base camp, as they called it, which was like the mini NFL combine for tennis players of the next gen?
Why not? It did, I think it's fun. See, see who's the fastest guy, do the cone drills and that kind of stuff. Like, I remember when I used to teach, I used to do like spider drills. Remember the spider drills there, Fred? Like all that kind of stuff. And I used to always do it with the high performance kids to show that if my fat ass could do it, theirs could do it too. But I thought it was fun. It was a good time. I mean, it's not the reason why I tune in.
Yeah,
I saw.
I was strictly tennis. I think I must have missed a little bit of that with for just following Italy in the Davis Cup finals, and I know that was earlier in the week, so I think I missed a little bit of that.
The guy
Yeah.
that wanted the Laver Cup to turn into an exhibition misses the exhibition style part of this tournament.
I mean, I knew it was happening, but like, I mean, Yannick and Novak were playing. Like Luca Nardi was still in Italy hoisting up a cup, and then he's got to go to the next gen. I was on that schedule.
Yeah, you're the one who talked about doing a skills challenge, and then they
Yeah.
actually did something in that realm.
We will do that
Yeah, really,
when I get hired on
really
tour.
pulled you in there, Cole. Really pulled you into that, didn't it?
It's the next gen. It's the next gen. Come on.
I miss the coaching, like the live coaching aspects of the next gen. That was awesome. I used to love that with like Chapo. If you guys remember that great clip of Shapovalov a couple years ago, just going like, "Can you believe the cup of coffee here was like €3?" And his coach was like, "Yeah, do you remember when we were in Stockholm and it was like $12 for a coffee?" He's like, "Yeah, that sucked." And it was I missed that.
Yeah, no, those make for some good clips. I feel like the WTA tour was doing some of that at some point where they were letting the coach come out and they were miking them up, and so you could hear the entire coaching session.
Treat the next gen like that. I think like that's what they're kind of doing. They're experimenting. I know a lot of people don't. I like the fast format of it. Like, it's best of 5 sets, but it's 4 game sets, excuse me. And they have a breaker at 3-all, which does make the matches go quicker. I think the longest match was like 2 hours and 35 minutes, roughly right in that. And there was a couple matches that were like 45 minutes long. If you're trying to attract a younger crowd in there, faster pace always helps out with that. The more insight you give into the players. I would like to see more of the coaching, the fast pace, and I would like to see more stats. I love when they put up, I miss the days where they used to put up like RPMs on forehands and serves and all that kind of stuff. I miss those days.
Do you think they're testing out this best of 5 short format for Ben Rothenberg to shorten the format at Grand Slams?
There is, I remember I used to have this argument all the time with guys I used to coach with. There is an argument to be made that you should shorten up Grand Slams to get the casual fan in there. I still like a 5-set match. There's probably a way to marry the two ideas, but I'm not saying every tournament should be a fast 4 in this case. It is something fun and different. My thing is, I think these players should get some points for it. I think they deserve to get some points for competing in this because the money's huge. Which Medvedev won $500,000. He doesn't need Djokovic's pocketbook anymore, which is a great story out of Djokovic. Who's paying for him, but
the Nobel Peace winner, Novak Djokovic, the Time Person of the Year, everyone's favorite humanitarian, Novak Djokovic. Get out of here.
Let him
Get out of here.
let him know how you really feel, Cole.
You can give him. I've given him more shit than anybody else.
Here's some money. Like I wipe my ass with this every time I wake up in the morning. Like it's the least you could do. Like, yeah, congrats to Medvedev. Like he earned it. And I remember watching this guy like qualify for tournaments in Umag, and make a couple rounds there. Like he's got the talent for sure. And yeah, congrats. Kudos to Djokovic for giving him a little extra change. But to your point, Keith, with the ranking points, he gets a check.
Awesome.
Wouldn't it be nice to get 100, 125 ranking points and just, I think he's at 116 right now. He'd be at like 80, probably even higher if he got 100, 125 points.
Just goes to show how much the money means to these guys because a lot of these guys lost points defending challengers, and this and they actually dropped in the rankings. But I think if you made this, I would go way higher than. I don't think a 125 does anything for the most part. I think if you go higher on the point system, I know people are going to bitch me out because of the fast format of it. But if you went to like 500 points for this thing, like 500 points for the winner, and then like a points for winning the round robin, just kind of like how the ATP World Tour Finals goes, I think you could attract guys like Shelton in there, or maybe even like guys that get knocked out early during the ATP World Tour Finals that are like, yeah, I'll go in there and play and see if I can get 500 points. Why not?
Yeah, Musetti, I think, was another that qualified and didn't play. Imagine. I mean, that'd be awesome.
But then you're defeating the purpose of like, like Musetti's not next gen, right? Like he's sort of already made
He's
it.
21. He's the same.
He's
He's the same
21
age.
years old, same as everyone else.
I mean, based on ranking before I get crucified in here. I'm talking
You
about
just
ranking.
crucified Djokovic for giving the guy
If
money.
Holger Rune is young and so is Alcaraz, and what's he gonna go do? Lose in the round robin and then fly over to Jeddah and play? Like those guys have already really established themselves. Like you could even make the argument that Arthur Fils shouldn't have been there. He's 36 in the world.
No, I'm not going to make that argument at all because that's a stupid argument.
I mean, if you look at the ranking spread out, it's like we got Fils at 36. I think Mijetovic is at like 116. Then you got Shelba at like 180, who just popped up out of nowhere. Like,
yes, because the top guys didn't show up. If you had a next gen ATP finals of like the top guys, then Fils would be the dead last seed. Not the dead last, he'd be like the 5th seed. And that'd be a much like, cooler tournament, even though this tournament was very cool.
well,
by the way,
okay.
past winners are like De Minaur, Sinner, and all those guys.
Well,
but you just can't have it both ways. Like it's like
Yes, you
clocking in for your day job. You can't clock in as a World Tour Finals athlete and then get paid for a next gen Finals athlete appearance. Like you just can't. I don't think that works. If you go to the ATP World Tour Finals, it's a completely different thing. Other than that, I don't care.
well, what do you, in your mind, what is the point of this tournament? Is the point of this tournament to be an event for those who are 21 years of age and below? Or is this tournament to showcase people who happen to be in that age range and also are low ranked?
Well, that's a good question. I would do it to where these guys are getting kickstarted into the next year, still getting points and getting points for that.
So maybe the ATP next gen needs to identify what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you're gonna
do they
give
need
all
to
this.
make a cutoff and you can't be inside the top 50 and play in this event?
God, that
Like
would be awesome.
where do you draw that line?
God,
right?
Fred, you could write in.
Well, I'm asking you because the way I view it as what I think they're doing is they're trying to do this event for those who are 21 years of age and below.
Yep.
And so if Alcaraz, Holger Rune, and Shelton and Musetti all 4 wanted to play, so be it. They're 21 years of age or below, and it's not their fault that, like, if Shelton didn't have the good Oz Open and the good US Open, he'd be like 70 in the world, and we'd be sitting here watching him play last week.
Right. I mean, and that's the way it's been since Tsitsipas played it and Demon played it and Alcaraz played it.
If Zverev and Medvedev and Rublev,
if
all
I
those
had the
guys.
keys,
Tiafoe and
if
Fritz.
I had the keys, I'd change it. I don't have the keys. I would make it young ranking capped, and I'd throw doubles pairings in there, and I'd throw women in there as well. Treat it like an ATP World Tour Finals, but next gen, young, rankings that aren't quite there yet. Throw a bunch.
You have it as reverse. You have it as reverse of an ATP World Tour Finals, which is the best players get in. You don't want the best players to get in this case.
Well, it's an age limit and a ranking limit.
Yeah, that's eliminating the best players of a certain age group. So if you're in the World Tour Finals is the top 8 players play, and if you're gonna knock out players just because they're young and good already, then you've cut out the best players. It's
you just gotta determine where the cutoff is. What I think, I
always thought the point. Sorry, go ahead, Cole.
Like, are you gonna send Musetti there if he's ranked 40 or 30 in the world? For how I see it, I don't know if I would.
I do it just because of the fact that I think the point of this is to showcase younger players that don't always qualify for the World Tour Finals. Like, that we're having trouble qualifying in the past. And obviously I don't think a guy who's going to play World Tour Finals is going to necessarily show up to this unless it's like 1,000 points. But let's say it's a hypothetical 500 or 250, like I was saying. But I think the point is to showcase, hey, the next generation of fans, here's some young players for you to gravitate towards. Like, here's some guys to watch. Like, your college kids that are just getting into tennis, your high school kids that are getting into tennis, your juniors, they're getting into tennis. Do they think they care about a guy like Stricker as much? Or do you think they're going to care about maybe a Musetti or a Runa or an Alcaraz? I think they're going to gravitate towards that. And it just shows off the game again. That's what I think it's all about, exposing the game to a new generation.
Yeah, I think that's a good fan perspective.
Yeah.
But if I'm 100 in the world, I'd really like to go play.
Well, I
Yeah.
think you still would be able to.
Yeah, potentially. But also right now, if they're not giving out points, they're not doing this to help the lower ranked guys, or else they would be giving out points. So the whole
Money.
purpose of this is just to showcase people who are 21 years of age and under.
To give some cash too.
Yeah.
Give them a little cash.
Go to a new city, Jeddah, first time hosting.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, I like the event. I think it's a fun event, and we've seen guys that were not ranked highly, kind of the Cole's point, win this thing. Sinner won it at 95 in the world, and other guys won it right around that ranking. Demon Nor still holds the most matches won during this thing. He's won like 14 matches during the
And he's never
ATP
won
next
it.
gen, and he never won it. I think he lost at like 2 finals. So that's kind of a great stat to pull out there.
Who do we think is going to have the best career out of this group?
Arthur Fils. Fils is the next great French hope.
I like Feast's game. It's big, and he was the best player during that tournament. He was
He's
the
already
only guy that
he's already won a
Yeah.
tournament. He's won Lyon as well.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. And he was the only guy that won 3-0 during the round robin, and then actually beat the guy in the semifinal. I think Medvedev got in when Stricker retired halfway through the match on an injury. I think he hurt his his oblique area, muscles that I don't possess. But
Wait, Stricker does possess those?
yeah, and that's why I like him. I don't think it's recency bias. I think Medvedev does. I just see something kind of special in that guy's game. I think he returns really, really well. I just think he mentally has to get together. He snapped by like 6 or 7 rackets in that tournament. So just maybe control himself a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say him as well. Even, I don't know, just before the tournament started, if you're surrounding yourself with Cole's favorite player, Novak, I mean, you're only setting yourself up for some success. And if Novak's going to end up being some kind of mentor for him, because clearly they're very close, if Novak was willing to open up his checkbook to support this kid on tour for his first year.
He didn't open up his checkbook, Fred. He opened up his toilet paper.
Yeah.
That's
Do
what
you
he
think
did.
it was a
what Cole said.
checkbook or like a single note? I think it was like a one-time payment, probably. Here, do like lump sum.
Here's your career starting. $20.
So
I gotta go.
I agree
I gotta
with
go
you.
try and win some matches and not get COVID. Here you go.
And you're going with Feast, Cole?
Yeah, I just
I think it's close between the two of them, though.
100%. Feast has
He's-
already established himself
yeah,
as well.
He's arrived.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put more pressure on Arthur Fils than the French have put on Songa and Gael Monfils
Just
since Yannick Noah stopped playing.
Since Yannick Noah started singing pop songs.
That's right. I'm gonna start I'm gonna start picking Feast to win every tournament.
God, Coley.
Feast Nadal 2024 Roland Garros final.
Cole, I will fly out to Austin and bow down to you in person if that happens.
It's very unlikely, but I do think
I'll
he
carry
can.
him to Austin.
I do think he can, deliver a little bit for a country that's had such good players that have, for the most part, come up short when it comes to big tournaments.
Could you imagine if Feast made the final, but Nadal didn't and Cole lost out on that?
That'd be brutal.
It ends up being a Feast versus Djokovic final.
It's a Feast Medvedev. Answers it right now.
If it's a Feast
But
Medvedev final, I think Cole has to come to Philadelphia and bow down to you, Keith.
I think I have to go to France.
And watch.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up the ATP Next Gen. Good tournament. I think, like anything else on tour, it could probably use a little nuancy changes. But listen, it's something new. It's something different in the past 6 years of tennis, and that's kind of what we're looking for. But I think it's time we somewhat stay in the Middle East and get on to some government changes in the ATP. And everybody was scared, terrified that I was going to go geopolitical there for a second. Turn this into like a NBC breaking news. I saw the look on Fred's face, but we'll stay there to talk about some possible mergers on the ATP tour, where it looks like as of right now there are talks amongst the top executives in the ATP tour, mostly amongst the four Grand Slam owners, as well as some Saudi-backed money, where they're trying to almost form a super league, kind of a live golf of Formula One for tennis, which would be the 9 Masters 1000s, the 4 Grand Slams, and then Saudi would get a additional Grand Slam championship. It would make it like a super 10 of tennis, and the ATP would govern the rest. It does look like the leaders of the 4 Grand Slams are really putting their foot down when it comes to this. They have not signed a deal with the ATP Tour regarding points, which I think that expires next year. And they normally sign about a 3-year deal for their tournaments to be allowed to have ATP points. If you remember what happened to Wimbledon a couple of years ago, where they violated that deal, so they didn't count for ATP points. They haven't signed that yet, which is big news because it's the longest this has gone since like the mid-90s. And it does create a power vacuum on the ATP Tour. So it's going to be kind of interesting what comes out of this, because we've seen rumors of this in the past, something similar, but this is now got backing. The Saudis are getting into sports. They've not taken over. They've been a big part of golf. They're really trying to take over soccer, Formula One, and now they're here at tennis. Is there a chance this is going to happen? What does it look like? It's out there.
Change is coming. And it could be a good thing. But I don't know if it's going to be fully Saudi led. I don't know. I was talking with an inside source.
Ooh.
And he was sort of saying that it sounds like the tour is listening and is really only going to try and give Saudis the one Masters 1000 tournament and kind of leave it at that. They don't want them to just come in and do what they did to golf and create some brand new tour and create division and change the way things have been and disrupt history, blah, blah, blah. And so I think instead of completely shutting them out and then hoping that they don't take over, that they're going to give them one event and hopefully figure it out from there.
Well, the scary thing about this is, and the reason why this problem is happening, in my opinion, is because there's too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to tennis, in terms of who's running what, where is running when, all that kind of stuff. And we've talked about this in a little bit on other podcasts, and I kind of mentioned it in my little preamble to this, is that each of the 4 Grand Slams are run independently of the ATP Tour. And there's 7 governing bodies. I almost knocked over a glass there. There's 7 governing bodies that control tennis. It's just too much. So there's never a cohesive thought process to how the ATP Tour is going to work, which is why we're trying to get a WTA merger, which is why you're trying to get all that kind of into place. Is this the answer? I don't think so. And independent of the Saudis, it's going to sound like an awful thing to say, but they've had a lot of political issues, to say the least. The one thing about tennis is that the Saudis don't run a good anything when it comes to sports. Like, live golf is not as good as a product as a PGA Tour. It's not as good as a product. It just simply isn't. It doesn't have the historical backing for it. The Saudi Pro Soccer League, it's averaging attendance like 15,000 people for the biggest names, and sometimes in soccer. Their boxing events stink. I've seen people complain about those, and UFC fights and all that kind of stuff stink. Like, I don't know how well they can run an event where people actually want to go to. That's what worries me about the ATP Tour and their merger with that.
I can't believe I'm about to come to the Saudis' defense, but
shits on Djokovic, comes to the
Saudis. I know. No, that's two strikes if we're playing tic-tac-toe here. I just think anything that's going to be bought or ran is going to take time. Like, I feel like, when David Beckham came to the MLS, like, it wasn't the MLS that we know today, right? There's a documentary on that now. Like it's just going to take time. And like the stadiums that they're playing soccer in Saudi Arabia are going to be better in 10 years. And the players are going to be better. And then there's like a whole like sports city getting built. Like it just takes time for anywhere to have like, something new and garner up support for it. It's harder because it is Saudi Arabia. But their Formula One race is packed every year, and the drivers, I don't know if they'll tell you if they like going there or not, but
well, they're forced to tell you. They are forced to tell you that they like going there. They have to speak. Yeah, they are
but the
forced
circuit
to.
but the circuit is like insanely fast. It's one of the fastest on the calendar, and it's a good track and it's a good product, but that's a 3-day event. So maybe a Ramco tennis tour, who knows? Like
I
you
mean,
just never know.
I'd agree. I agree with you to a very small extent there, Cole, but like the difference between the MLS and what you described is that Americans have run other sports better than any other place probably in the world. Like they ran the NFL and baseball better than any other sport, and basketball better than any other country or any other continent in the world. Sorry to all the Europeans that are listening that are probably pissed off at me. So they already had kind of the road work in place to put down an event. The Saudis they had soccer for years. Nobody came to it. Now they have soccer again and nobody's going to it again.
Yeah, but they're choosing the right ones, It's not like they're trying to play baseball in Saudi Arabia. Like
they are. There is a league that just popped up, and it's
but like they're really pouring into golf, which there's opportunity in, and they're really trying to pour into tennis, which is a European sport on that side of the pond, and Formula One as well. So
it's all investment opportunity. It, like you talked about the MLS, and the US is a sports driven society here. There's so much engagement when it comes to sports. Same in Australia. There's so many of these other countries. Saudi Arabia isn't known for being a sports happy country. They just have a shitload of money and are investing in a lot of these businesses, trying to probably do something with their money. And like, I don't think it has anything to do with like them being incapable of running events and things like that. Like, we'll see how that pans out, but it's not a sports country. And so I think that's what worries me a little bit, is like we go play some of these tournaments in that part of the world and like no one goes and watches, and you get to watch Federer Djokovic and it's like there's 900 people in the crowd, and half of them, they're probably paid to be there. Like it's just the culture's not there for it. Where you got people in London queuing for freaking days to get into Wimbledon.
It's just it's a worrying sight, and what worries me more than anything else. But I do understand the reason for it. I do understand trying to get the most. Like this would maximize TV revenue. This would maximize exposure, maybe to some point for tennis, which is all good things for tennis because you would have a centrally located top 10 events in the world, and I get that. It just, what worries me is that when Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal retire, which is not very far out, do we want an unstable, non-experienced government, essentially? And I'm not talking about the Saudi government, they're told, or like just owners of this sport running the sport where it's at its most vulnerable. The sport could be at its most vulnerable in a couple of years, and we all love it and we'll keep watching it, but we got to be able to attract everybody else to watch it, or the sport could fall out. It's happened.
Well, maybe they know that with Djokovic probably having a little bit more time left, now's the time to try and do it.
To Cole's point, this ain't going to go into effect until 2025 at the earliest, if they even agree to do this. So it's a wild time to be tennis. Now, this could all be blustery talk. Like, the same report came out 2 years ago about an ATP Formula One Saudi and WTA merger, and that went the way of the dodo bird really fast. It was actually right around this time too. I think it was in like January. So who knows? But it's a fun discussion to have, and it's a weird place to be at as a tennis fan.
Sure.
Well, I guess we can go on to some good news, which is we formally have one of the GOATs, Rafael Nadal, is coming back. He's announced that he will be back in Australia. It's a great, great moment for the sport because you get one of the all-time greats coming back, and it just brings another limelight to what was already, I thought, a very good season, and really kind of promotes next season in a really, really good way. So yeah, Nadal's back, baby.
Very excited about this return. If you'll listen to a future episode coming out, something we call the courtroom, I talked about Nadal being the GOAT Davis Cup player, and these guys really can't, hold a candle to that. So it's gonna be really exciting to see who I think the GOAT Davis Cup player is gonna be coming back on tour. When I start thinking about Nadal's return, I start thinking about what's he gonna play. I think Brisbane is a bit of a shock to me. I did not see this coming. I think it's like a really low level tournament and a weird place for him to get started.
He
just gonna
owes
take
it.
take shots at Brisbane International.
Just everything. This Cole's taking shots at everything.
But like I don't know. I especially if he's got question marks about his health. But looking at the year, like Brisbane, Australian Open, I don't think he plays one, or I think he plays one or the other, either Miami or Indian Wells. He's gonna play Monte Carlo and Barcelona. Like, I don't know. Like it just depends on how he holds up. I think this is really going to be a limited schedule and a swan song type year.
Yeah, I think he owes it to the fans of Brisbane. I was down there. I was down there 5 years ago now. I was down there. He was supposed to play. They paid him a shit ton of money to play, and he pulled out. He ended up staying on the grounds and practiced for 2 or 3 days, accepted half of his entry or his appearance fee, and he practiced. And more people were sitting there watching the practice than that were watching a match inside Pat Rafter Arena. And so I think he owes it to the fans. He's heading back to the Brisbane International, Pat Rafter Arena.
The same level tournament that Keith wants to pay the next gen finals points, same amount of points that Keith wants to. Yeah,
Well,
all of a sudden it became the Brisbane Masters 1000.
Oh, by the way, who did disagree with my assumption of points for the next gen ATP finals was like, yeah, real shit event down there in Brisbane. Like, no points even given out. Is it even played on a court? Is there a net up or what? But Brisbane's a great tournament, so I'm not gonna listen to that. I guess my takeaway from it was that it was a different sounding Nadal. It was like we're all used to Nadal being like, I'm not going to come out unless I feel 100% ready to play and I can go out there and dominate my players and do everything I want to. But now it's like, I just want to enjoy tennis. I'm in a place where I can enjoy it again. It feels like the end. It just feels like he's accepted that this is the end of his career this year without announcing it really. I mean, I guess he kind of has, but like without really announcing it. And he's just going to enjoy it. He's just going to go out, take his like last lap, his last lap in his swan song, and just have a good time playing tennis. That's why I was curious about what we're going to see out of him, because that fight and grit is what made Nadal so great. I think now he's just at peace with his tennis game. He's just fine. He's just happy to be there.
God, can you just imagine the first round matches he's going to have to play for the other guys?
Yeah. He's going to get a protected ranking. There's going to be a bunch of guys that have protected ranking because he's 685 in the world right now. It just kind of, this is just a weird reference. It just kind of reminds me of Major League 2. If you guys get the Major League Baseball movies, when Serrano, who was a like voodoo, like one of the, like, he wanted to sacrifice stuff, becomes a Buddhist. Like he's like at peace with everything. Like, is that going to be what like Nadal's going to be like? He's just going to, like, some guy's going to hit a winner past him and he's just going to be like, it's okay. That's a great shot. And it's like, not sprint his way back over, just like leisurely walk to the other side. Just like, he's stepping on the lines. He's not setting up his water bottles. Like, I'm curious if that's the Nadal we're going to get.
I want to see a slap fest from him all year. Like instead of like 40 ball rallies, I want to see just absolute trees on returns. And slap forehands, line, like different style. Go out swinging.
Right. We're not gonna see anything different. We're gonna see the same old. It's just gonna be, this is the end. We're gonna see same old. Because I feel like even these last couple of years, he's been enjoying the moment a lot more, but he's been the same, absolute battler, but he's definitely been enjoying the moment. I feel like a lot more than he did 10 years ago. And I think it's going to be more the same this year. He's going to battle like hell, but he's still going to enjoy it. And he's going to be a lot more in the moment because I think he will understand kind of the gravity of like this being his last 9 months on tour.
Do we see tears this year on court?
Oh,
Like-
for sure. For sure.
For sure.
For sure.
But
Okay.
last question before we move off this topic. Is Nadal going to win the Brisbane International? Predict
a
the
real
round. Predict the round.
Third.
Takes home the
Is that the,
title.
is that the quarters? Is that the quarters? Yeah.
Depends if Mitch Harper warms him up.
Just grooves him.
Yeah.
I'll take a quarter. I'll take a quarter. Lost in the quarter.
I think that's the third round in a 250. I have to
Yeah.
look that up. I think we're on the same page there, Cole.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have the goat back. And as Cole kind of alluded to of our new special, the courtroom episode, which check it out on YouTube. Fred, great job getting that out there. We discussed the best Davis Cup teams of all time. So we create an all-time Davis Cup team. Spoiler alert, I pick an all-time Swedish team. Cole picks an all-time Spanish team. Fred picks an all-time USA team. Go on there and listen to that because it's a good debate about who had the best team overall. Listen to what players we got. We have a little special mini version of the courtroom, which we'll be bringing to you every once in a while on the pod. And it's a Would You Rather, a tennis edition of Would You Rather. So in this, what we're going to do is we're going to pick a player, or we could pick any topic. I guess in this case, it's going to be a player, and we're going to discuss, would you rather have that player, that stroke, that tournament, or would you have the other one that we named? So we're going to do a Would You Rather. And we're going to get back on the Americans because I know Cole misses talking about Americans. We're going to Would You Rather Taylor Fritz edition. Boys, we ready for a little Would You Rather?
Fire it up.
All right. Would you rather Taylor Fritz edition? We're going to start off hot just for Cole. Hubert Hurkacz.
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 Hurkacz as well. That's 3 in a row. They're both the same age, which kind of got me. 26 years old.
God, your
and
eyes got so big when I said
I
that.
couldn't believe it. All right. Would you rather Ben Shelton?
I'll take Fritz.
Yep.
I think I take Fritz now, Shelton going forward.
It's not how
think
the
Shelton's-
game works.
I know, but you can kind of hedge a little bit. You can have some fun with this. Would you rather Taylor Fritz edition, Grigor Dimitrov?
Grigor.
Fritz.
God, I'm really digging him a hole right now.
And Fritz, it's not even close.
What? How?
Fritz, and it's not even close. He's won one less Masters Grand Slam, and he's
World Tour
26,
Finals. World Tour Finals.
26 compared to 32. They have the same winning percentage essentially in their entire career. He's won 8 tournaments.
You can't
Grigor
say it's
Dimitrov.
not even close. You can't say it's not even close, but it's a
That's
good
fair.
argument.
That's fair. That's fair. Or would you rather Taylor Fritz edition, Casper Ruud?
Oh, come on. Casper Ruud.
This is tough.
Oh
I
my
know.
God.
Take Casper. Couple slam
Yeah.
finals. Tough to turn that down.
You're roughly the same age too. Fritz is older than I think he is at 26, which is kind of a weird sentence to say that he's older at 26. But I think I'm still going Ruud. I don't think recency bias is going to let me not pick Ruud in that case. Would you rather Taylor Fritz or Andrei Rublev?
Fritz.
Rublo.
Rublev as well. I think once he learns how to get a little bit more of his game together, his baseline game is better than Fritz's. I think he's pretty much gone just as far. I mean, Fritz has made 2 quarterfinals in his career to Grand Slam, whereas Rublev is like 0-5.
I got a question. When considering Taylor Fritz's career, do we consider the
It's everything.
the money tournament that was Wimbledon that one year, or we throw that out the window?
No, that still counts.
Okay.
Yeah. I think did he make a quarter there and then retired to get, he didn't even like,
No, he lost to Nadal and then Nadal withdrew.
that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that still counts.
Okay.
That still definitely counts. Yeah. And lastly, would you rather Taylor Fritz edition, Matteo Berrettini?
Fritz. I don't even know who that guy is. The guy hasn't even been around in like a year. go Fritz.
I'm taking Fritz as well. If Mateo had stayed on track, I'd probably have stuck with him just because of the upside potential, but he's been non-existent for 18 months. So Fritz.
It's one bad year, which is why I wanted to do this one. It's one injury riddled year for Matteo Berrettini, but he was kind of irrelevant for like the first 4 years of his career. I'm going to go Matteo Berrettini. I'm actually going to be the lone guy to take Matteo Berrettini here. I think if he gets healthy, he's still going to be, I think he's going to be a better player than Taylor Fritz if he's healthy.
Wow.
I've seen enough of his slice backhand to take Fritz.
Well, that's a would you rather. Leave your comments on who would you rather take out of those Taylor Fritz editions. And as always, that's a wrap on the episode today, boys. Covered quite a lot. Check us out on our socials: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, where you can catch the rest of that video right there, and you can catch this podcast as well. Catch our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you can watch podcasts. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, swing a big stick.